Hi, Greg. Good morning.
Good morning, Claire. How are you?
Good, doing well. Thank you so much for agreeing to do the interview for us.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
You have so many fantastic courses with great reviews on this site, so we wanted to spotlight you. So how did you get involved with micromanagement? If you want to tell us a bit about your background.
So my background goes way back to college and university, where I was tutoring my fellow classmates. That gave me the passion for teaching, and that went into teaching at various places in Montreal and in Vancouver, and a lot of times it was at colleges teaching Microsoft Office products. And
oh, wow.
Then I got snatched up by Catalyst Pulp and Paper.
Okay.
They're running SAP, so I was with them for running a corporate training center and their SharePoint website for 15 years. So I really enjoyed that. That was very dynamic environment. And when I was there, I started doing all the seminars in Florida and Texas and California, doing SAP seminars. So I would get to go for free because I was as a speaker, right? So that was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so when Catalyst Mill ended up shutting down that site, so I ended up going on in the consulting world and teaching at various companies like Shell and so oil and gas, mining, and coaching SAP Plant Maintenance. That's my focus.
Okay.
So about more than a year ago, I found out about micromanagement site because it's something I was looking into developing online courses, because I've had a website for many, many years where I put out content like tip sheets and so on to support.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I have a lot of that stuff for free for students for like Word, Excel, Microsoft Project, and whatever. So I've been hosting that, but I want to start hosting SAP content, and I found out you guys do that. So it seemed like a great partnership.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like I said in the beginning of the interview, you've been a very successful instructor for us. And what kind of, so on micromanagement, I know you're mostly focusing on plant maintenance. Do you have any other specialties in SAP? Is that really what you focus on?
Well, DMS is the document management system. That one I'm pretty much expert level in that, in also some configuration experience with that as well. So that is used by all different modules, all different role views, document management, creating the documents, attaching them, and so on. So that's a big one. And I've done some customer service consulting, but that's my main focus is on plant maintenance, notifications, work orders. I teach. My main client is planners, so.
Oh, okay.
All the preventative maintenance management and master data cleansing, and so my background in database management and it has come in handy with all that.
Okay, great. And so our planners, would you say that's mainly who takes your courses, or are your courses mainly intended for beginning level, or?
All levels. Like
all levels.
A lot of companies I've worked at, they get me to teach the technicians as well. Technicians, operators, managers, because managers need to know how to approve requisitions and create purchase orders and things like that. So so the pretty wide audience in that sense. The courses I have online are for beginner levels all the way up to configuration. So the courses do cover SAP PM config.
Okay.
In the plant maintenance module.
Okay, very nice. And plant maintenance, did you just sort of fall into that in SAP, or was that through, I know you're talking about working right through college. Is that what inspired you to get involved in plant maintenance?
Well, many years before I got it, with SAP came out, I was dealing with retail software, which was all around warehousing and retail inventory control. And that kind of coincide with my database skills. So getting in plant maintenance, where I first encountered that was with Catalyst Paper back in the late 90s.
Nice. Oh, so you've been working with SAP for quite a while. That's great.
Yeah, about the end of end of the 90s. So basically about the year 2001 is when I think I started getting, we implemented SAP at Catalyst Paper. So I was involved after the implementation and doing all the training and coaching.
Very cool. Nice. And how many courses have you created for us?
So on micromanagement, I have, I think there's now 9 courses with, out of the 5-star rating, I've got 4.3 as an average and 233 students.
Nice.
Enrolled. And last year, I looked at last year stats, and I had 344 intakes in last year. So there's, it's nice to see that, but it's also what I really enjoy is when I get the emails from micromanagement of the course evaluations. People tell me how they enjoyed it, and it filled in a lot of gaps, and that kind of feedback is very encouraging and makes me motivated to create more.
Good, that's great. And do you have a favorite course that's published? Is there one that is your kind of shining star, or maybe they're all equally great?
There was one that had the highest intake, and it's the I can't remember which one that was, but the ones I think are the most important are things like maintenance management theory. So I have a course on that, and I think everyone needs to know that, like operators, managers, accountants, and so on. So that should be everybody knowing what's involved with maintaining equipment that costs millions of dollars. So everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, very important.
I try to separate my courses from functional use. So users who want to be a planner or a technician can take those courses, and I separate the configuration courses that are more focused for consultants or planners who want to really understand the guts of SAP and what makes it tick, and so they know what it's capable of doing. And that's why another reason I have some courses there on how to do a tune-up. So that the tune-up covers a lot of basically user control in terms of customizations and optimizations. So that I think is important, not just for a planner, but for managers to know that SAP out of the box, even after a really good implementation, is not as user-friendly as it could be.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, absolutely. And then, so I know you've been working as a teacher in many regards for SAP for several years. So in going and starting your courses with us, had you made online courses before?
For SharePoint, like for Catalyst Paper, I built their training portal, and so I was having online courses there. Mostly, record the screen, the SAP screens. I was using back then. There was like the UPerform software built that came with SAP that you could record the transactions and so on. So yeah, I've been doing that for quite a while, and I find that's the best thing too, is to have a short video walkthroughs in SAP. So it's not just like so you don't have to read a 2,000-page manual. A nice tip sheet was really handy, like the steps of what you need to do to do your job, but also having a video walkthrough is really important. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000,000.
Yeah. So true. And your courses, sort of when you get started with them, what's your first step? Do you have sort of a standardized process for how you start creating your courses all the way through the end?
Well, what I try to focus on is what is the biggest problem people or companies have with SAP. So I try to say, well, that is a really good place to start. So what is the problem? What is the cause of that problem? And what is the solution? So those 3 things make kind of like the foundation of what the course should contain. And it's also really good for marketing, because if you can make people's problems go away, then more than likely they're going to value the content.
True.
But of course, the other thing is creating a curriculum based on the role. So what I try to do is I say, okay, what as a user, say I'm a planner, what do I need to know from A to Z, or A to Z, depending on what country it is. And sometimes that same curriculum can be used for technicians, where you just pick the pieces out of it that are relevant to that role. So I like really to build SAP menus as role-based and that align to the training. So the training, the course curriculum would be role-based.
Very smart. Okay. And so for potential instructors, someone who's looking at your courses and getting inspired by your ratings and numbers of students, do you have any advice for new instructors on how to create courses? Maybe something that you're doing differently now than you did for your very first course?
I would say that's keep creating a structure first, like creating a really rough outline of what you want to accomplish, and make it short, like 6 steps. And these are, or even they say the power of 3 is very important. Most people can only remember 3 things in a sitting. And a lot of speeches, famous speeches, they cover that concept of 3 things. So if you could say you have like an introduction and you talk about 3 topics, and then you do a summary or a review of those topics. So it's easy to build a slideshow with that, right? Because you just need like 5 slides. And then as you're building those slides, so now you have the outline, and then you can add pictures and more elaborate bulleted text. And then you narrate those slides, right? So now you have that content to put online. Narrated slides are very useful. But then also now you have a guide to help to record your SAP videos. You follow your own slides.
That's so smart. That's very good concrete advice. Mm-hmm. Very, very smart. And then sort of along that same vein, do you have any advice for maybe new students who are taking your courses, just on sort of the trajectory of learning SAP? Because I know you've learned it yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. I find the first thing is to understand how to control the settings at SAP, like the customizations, and to make it user-friendly. Like, are you seeing the status bar in the bottom? That's very important. And how do you use the status bar? Are you familiar with like favorite menus and that you can share them with other people and upload, download them, and the navigation skills, very important. So search skills, very important. And all those concepts are for everybody, right? So one of my goals in the near future is to build a course and build those courses as separate courses. One would be all the settings that a user can implement, not configuration, but user settings.
Oh, okay.
Another course on navigation, like how do you get around SAP efficiently? You know, a lot of people don't know the tips and tricks, like I call it 0-0 trick, where if you want to see the SAP full menu, you can, but if you do like, you just want to see workflow, it's IW00, and that T code lists all the workflow transactions. And if you're a planner, you would like IP00, and it shows you all the planner transactions. And I find most users, even advanced users, don't know that technique of customizing the SAP menu to what you want to see. So those navigation skills are important. And one of the things a lot of users struggle with is searching. So whatever you are doing, searching in accounting or for human resources, my realm is searching materials, searching equipment. And a lot of people struggle with those skills. Sometimes it's because the SAP screen is too complicated. So the super users really should take on that role to simplify those search screens.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And are you actively working on those new courses?
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Okay. So stay tuned. Those will be up soon. Nice. And then as an instructor, what are some challenges you've had to overcome in creating courses, and how have you managed those?
Well, in designing a course, sometimes that was my challenge initially. I was trying to put too much into one course. Like Okay, I'm going to build a course called Planner 101. Everything a planner needs to know. and I don't think anybody would want to sit through 30 hours of video. So I started breaking that up into pieces that could be used by many roles, not just a planner, but a technician.
Oh, very
and
clever.
That makes it a little easier. And I think, like we've last couple of years, the people seem to prefer short, 45-minute sessions.
Agreed. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The other problem I found is to explain to the students why do they need to take this course. So I try to focus more now on defining the problem or the skill that they will have by the end of the course and why that's important. And especially when I first started teaching, I met other people who were SAP experts, and they weren't teachers, and they were trying to show everything in one session. And sometimes in the past, we were forced to do that when the client basically said, you have 3 hours to teach this huge amount of content. So now when I have control of the content, I try to keep it simple first. And
yeah.
I call it spiral training, where I say, what's the bare minimum a person needs to learn to be successful with that skill? So we show just that and don't go on any tangents. And then we go back and do it again, and we add a little bit of extra. And every time we spiral around and redo an exercise, the exercise is more and more complex and more features are taught. So the student sees the forest for the trees.
Great, that is such fantastic advice.
So the other place I stumbled initially was on the audio quality of recording, and I had really good advice from micromanagement support people about how to make a backdrop, like with even using towels so that it's echo, right?
Yeah.
And of course, buying a really good microphone was the most important step.
True.
They're about like under $200. You can get a really good one.
How funny though! I have not heard the towel trick.
Yeah, the towels work.
Very cool. Oh, that's great. I mean, I love your reference to spiral learning, and I think that's really what we're going for as well. And Thomas, our CEO, in his courses is just having SAP be approachable and not this big, scary, complicated, kind of unattainable thing to learn. So, I mean, I think you've very successfully done that in your courses.
Well, one thing I think I'm missing is a prerequisite, kind of like an evaluation quiz, where I would have a quiz, and based on the quiz, where they get the wrong answers, that kind of can guide them and say what courses they need to take to fill in those gaps, like a pre-assessment sort of.
I love that. Do you think you'll implement that in your new courses?
I'm going to try. I'm looking at trying to do it with Google. Google Forms has an amazing quantity of types of questions, so that might work really well. Okay.
And have you implemented quizzes in your current courses?
No, I haven't, and I know that that's a new feature. Is that fairly new at micromanagement?
Yeah. So we have now a template for instructors, and it's sort of our new standard for courses, just because we've had such good feedback from students saying that they really like interactive courses that have quizzes or even potentially take-home assignments.
Right.
That they can do. Yeah.
I want to do that, and I think the idea of creating a quiz for a prerequisite, like self-evaluation, you do it before and after, and that would also give the student a sense of how much they learned.
They learned, yeah, engage that.
One of the problems I have with quizzes, a lot of times in teaching various places, we've always are asked for, often we're asked to give out quizzes, and I've seen a lot of SAP quizzes that are, I think, poor in quality in sense of it's not quizzing the understanding, it's quizzing memory. Like how can you remember all these words, right? And
yeah,
learning SAP is it's around, you know, the idea of the business process and the functional use. It's not just memorizing everything. So I think when I build my quizzes, I'm going to try to focus on that rather than, you know, like, what is the transaction code? Initiate, you know, memorizing transaction codes is kind of like old school nowadays.
Yeah.
You don't memorize them anymore. So that's the kind of quiz that I get on sometimes on interview calls, and I say, "Wow,
Oh, okay.
I teach users how to search menus, how to use the 0 trick, and I use, you know, creating favorites so they don't have to memorize everything."
Yeah. It does seem very old school.
Mm-hmm.
How funny. And coming up with your topic ideas for all of your courses, has it just been kind of what you see in your day-to-day life at work or things that you struggle with?
Yeah, that's every time I teach or coach at a company, it opens up my eyes to other potential courses. Like some of that's more advanced, like in some clients I've done LSMW scripting for them, you know, creating mass load sheets and so on. And I thought, okay, we could build a course around that. But the problem is that's probably going to be obsolete with HANA. So whether it's worth the effort, and the audience of who needs to learn LSMW scripting is very small. Like some consultants need to learn it, but it's not an easy topic, and because it's probably obsolete, it may not be a good thing to go into. But scripting language of SAP is often not known, and it's not activated. It's an old tool for keyboard recording and looping, but very useful. So there's things like that technical side, but on the functional use side, I see like just understanding HANA, that seems to be more and more requirement. So
Yeah.
I built a course for that, like what's new in HANA from the plant maintenance point of view. And I realized Fiori is also becoming more and more in demand. So
yeah, we have a lot of students asking for Fiori as well. And HANA, just like you said. And how did you teach yourself HANA?
So with HANA, I basically did a lot of searching on the internet through SAP's site and other sites on everything about HANA. And I found some really good manuals that are like 300 pages long, very technical. So I would skim through the technical manual and find the things that relate to a user that are PM specific.
Okay.
And that's how I sort of ended up building up a slideshow, and then I did a tour through SAP HANA and showing the differences.
Very nice. And then in terms of what motivates you to teach SAP, to create courses, what's that main motivating factor for you?
That's funny because that goes way, way back. My first motivation was my college classmates paid me beer to teach.
That's crazy.
That was my first paying client. And what really motivated me, though, teaching at Catalyst, Pulp and Paper, and so on, is seeing students thrive with learning. And like I had one student, he stuttered before, as he was taking my courses. He had a stuttering problem. He had very low self-esteem for learning, and he didn't pick it up as quick as some people. He was starting really, really basic, but with repetition and hands-on, he excelled so much in 1 year taking my courses that he got an IT job.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. Like, he wrote me a letter. It was wonderful, like thanking me for how it changed his life. Like, he had stuttering away. He became he was writing letters to people because he learned how to use spell check and grammar check.
Wow.
Yeah, and he became a nerd in 1 year.
Best case scenario. Greg, that's such a beautiful story. How cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what I found, what made him motivated was not just to get out of his labor job, because he was working on the saw line, and his body couldn't take it anymore. But he was a hunter and a fisherman, and so he would bring video cameras with him on his trips, and he wanted to learn how to do video editing and website design and all this kind of high-end stuff, and he became that person, right? So it was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. And my final question, which I think tied into what you were just talking about as well, is just what's your favorite part of being an instructor?
The favorite part of being an instructor is helping people. Like, I have a lot of empathy for students, for people learning. And what I realized is what I love teaching so much. I also play drums, and I love teaching people how to drum. I love people, you know, and I see people excel, and I apply my drum teaching skills, like the spiral learning concept, to teaching SAP. And when I see people picking things up and say, "Oh man, I wish I knew this 5 years ago. It saved me so much time." I think that makes my heart swell. You know, like,
yeah.
And when I hear people, like even on a plane, one guy was telling me, "Oh, I hate SAP," because when he found out I'm an SAP consultant, and I said, "Okay, what do you hate the most?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, it's really crazy. You know, work order, it takes like 8 clicks to get the purchase order number." I say, no, it takes 1 click. And I even described a button on this flight. You know, this document flow. It looks like a bunch of little pieces of paper. And he said, "Why didn't anyone teach me that?" And I said, "Well, there's the easy way and there's the hard way."
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to know both. But when I try to teach SAP, I try to show them the easy way to do things to get the job done, and then we build on that. That's what I've learned over the years. That's what gets the most success.
You're just making SAP so much more approachable. I love it. Yeah. That is so great, Greg. And I was interested when you said that you take from drumming as well. So the spiral learning concept, was that something that you learned through your drumming courses?
Actually, what spawned that concept in my mind was teaching notifications. So I'd say, okay, we start with a really simple one. You find some oil spill on the ground up near a building. So that's really easy. There's no equipment to identify, nothing. It's basically simple, done. You've notified people the problem. And then the next one we talk about, okay, how now we're going to point to an actual pump, you know, and that concept of going more and more complex, I just saw in my mind as a spiral. And I mentioned that to my wife, who has her master's in education. She teaches kindergarten. And she says that's what they learned in their master's is about it. They actually call it spiral learning. So I didn't invent the concept.
I would give you credit.
Yeah.
I did that.
But I also think that it's so much easier to teach somebody the basics first, and then they master that with repetition and hands-on, and then you can add and build onto it.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. Well, I feel like all of our both users and instructors hopefully will listen to this and kind of just absorb all of your knowledge and use that in both creating courses and taking courses. So you've been such a pleasure to hear from. It's been really interesting, and all your concrete advice and heartwarming talk about SAP and why you love learning has been fantastic. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure. And Claire, do you want to hear what my problem? I'm making what's called a PAS. PAS is a problem. It's like the problem cause solution that tends to be in my market a lot.
Sure. So
the problem that is planners are wasting so much time struggling with SAP, making purchasing errors, maintenance errors, and there's a loss of asset availability problems that arise, production loss, and asset damage even. So the actual cost of this is often it's a lack of software skills. And so that ends up being very frustrated users and adds a lot to the cost of maintenance. All the errors and omissions, people will order the wrong part. Sometimes they don't know what to order, so they order multiples. And what do they end up doing with the one they didn't need? They often will just throw it in the garbage. So we've found in some companies brand new motors in the metal bin. Wow. Because the employee didn't know how to search the right part. He ordered the wrong part, and he didn't know how to return it, or was embarrassed, and he ends up throwing it in the metal bin. So with all that frustration and errors and costs, there's often downsizing problems that result in that, and also employee turnover because you get frustrated employees.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get adequate training. So what I say is a solution to that is to try to fill in those gaps with the technicians and the planners with professional assessments, like the idea of a pre-test, targeted education. We go targeted education, and you support the person with their job aids and coaching, and also the very important software optimization, like making the software more user-friendly. So we have to review often the company's best practices, like are they using best practices in what they do, and are they providing ongoing support for their users? So the investment in employees, I find, is often lacking in terms of investment in education.
Yeah, we agree 100%.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fantastic, Greg. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I got to start making quizzes. I know that's one of the new requests, that all courses have a quiz. That's why I started looking into, like, I started creating a quiz on micromanagement site, and realized that it's something I learned myself from going through HANA. It has influenced how I teach SAP now, because when I'm teaching ECC 6, I have always encouraged students to learn F8 for execute.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Executing a search or whatever. But now I'm almost like I'm telling them that the button's going away. The button to execute, the clock is gone. So get used to F8, because that's the way to go, right? And in HANA, what they did, they moved the button to the bottom right-hand corner. So now it's in the top left. So it's completely opposite corner.
Oh, no.
And it actually says the word execute. But so when I was going through HANA as a user, like surfing creating my course, I realized that was one of the most frustrating things is I guess I'm so used to, clicking the icon, or so I was just using F8 all the time, and so the transition was way more friendly by using F8 instead of a button.
I loved your anecdote about being on the plane as well, because sometimes it's just so simple, but we get so tied up in it being this big, scary endeavor. Even our team, we were taking Thomas's, our CEO's SAP, how to install the SAP GUI course.
Right.
And when we started, I was so nervous, and I hadn't done it before, and then I took his course, and I was like, this is so much more simple than I envisioned. And so it's just so nice to have someone kind of like hold your hand a little bit and show you, like, it's not so scary, it's doable, anyone can do it, even if you're not a crazy IT wizard, it's still doable.
Yeah.
Very cool, Greg. Well, thank you again for
Oh, you're welcome.
time to chat.
Okay, take care.